Max,
Yeah.
how you doing, darling?
Do you know, I'm not doing too well, really. I'm not had the best couple of weeks.
Oh no. Hey
Last
Max,
Monday,
I really
Yeah.
I want you to do something for me. Just clear your mind and tell me the first name that comes into your head, because that's him, that's the one.
I'm thinking Frank. He's Frank to you, Francis professionally. I'm seeing him in a big corner office somewhere. High flyer, human rights lawyer, I think. Successful,
Yeah.
but with a heart. He's going to worship the ground you walk on.
Oh my God, he sounds fantastic. I really, really love Frank. I'm gonna go and find him right now.
Don't you want to know about his penis first?
Hello and welcome to Let's Get Frank, the dating podcast presented by me, Bibi Lynch. I'm a journalist and broadcaster, and I've written for lots of the nationals, had columns in Red, Grazia and GQ, broadcast on BBC Radio, hosted a sex podcast called Good Sex, Bad Sex, and my last relationship ended the day after Diana died. I know. I should be an expert, but I can't even get a second date. So this is a podcast about my journey to find the love of my life, Francis, professionally. With the help of my sounding board and dating coach extraordinaire, Annabelle Knight, I'm going to find Frank, date Frank, and hopefully marry Frank. Good luck, everyone.
On Let's Get Frank this week, Dr. Frank Mugisha. He's the founder of Icebreakers Uganda and executive director of Sexual Minorities Uganda. He's a lawyer working in advocacy around predominantly LGBT plus issues. Oh, by the way, he's also a Nobel Peace Prize nominee. He says he's gay, which has never stopped Bibi before. But he says he's open-minded to his first date with a woman. She thinks he might be the Frank she's looking for. This is Let's Get Frank.
So, Annabelle, can you believe Frank? I mean, that's some bio, right?
Can I believe he exists? No, I think you've made him up.
I do have form.
He sounds like he would tick all of your intellectual boxes and be someone extraordinarily interesting to spend an hour with.
I think he sounds brilliant. But first impressions, and be honest, I know we're good friends. I know you know me very well, so I can take it.
Oh, he's too good for you.
He's got a Nobel Peace Prize nomination. I didn't even get a handwriting certificate. How do you prep to date up? Is it a thing?
I think, dating up is only a thing in the dating down person's mind. Usually, people are just interested in who you are, and whatever they've done is kind of by the by because they're interested in you. So the kind of first thing you need to do when you're going into a date is try and cast aside this idea that someone might be too good for you, because there's no one who's too good for you. In fact, it might even be the other way around.
Should we tell Frank? Do you want to break the news to Frank?
I'm not going to break the news to Frank.
I do have a sense that this whole podcast is going to go down to two words, hyphenated, therefore one word: self-esteem.
Absolutely. It will completely boil down to self-esteem, self-worth, all the self-confidence, and the kind of internalized view you have on yourself needs to be a really good one, because you perpetuate that view to other people and you project that in your dating life. So if you don't think you're worthy and you're good enough, that's the message you're going to inadvertently send to the person you're dating. And that's not a message we want to get out there.
But how do you change that?
Well, it all starts with you. I think practicing good self-care and wellness techniques, knowing your worth, knowing your value. And okay, yeah, you might not have a Nobel Peace Prize on your mantelpiece.
Neither's Frank. He was a nominee. He didn't even win it, Annabelle.
See, there you go. Frank's not even as good as Frank. It all starts within, and it might sound cheesy and it might sound a bit hackish and it might sound like it's been said before, but there is a reason for that, and that is because it's true.
I'm quite a fan of the Post-its, mantras that stuck on my face, written backwards so I can read it in a mirror. Do you know what I mean? Too much TMI.
No, I do mantras every morning because I really struggle with self-image. I was a very overweight teenager, so I have to work really hard to try and shake that off.
So everyone knows who you are, Annabelle Knight, sex, relationship, dating coach, best-selling author, TV presenter with a range of sex toys, please. So You're so brilliantly and so talented and so, perfect to give advice on this. So can I ask you a really basic question about dates? Why are they so terrifying?
I think they are so terrifying for so many people because we live online and we hear everyone's bad stories, and they seep into our psyche, and that someone else's experience becomes your potential experience. So it's kind of perpetuating this forever feeling of dread because you just don't know how it's going to go. But I actually like to see people turn that on its head and harness the kind of anxiety and maybe the apprehension, and turn that on its head and turn it into an exciting way to just meet someone new. It doesn't have to lead to anything. And I think when we put so much pressure on ourselves for it to lead to something, that's when we are most at risk of it failing.
I have it in me to turn up to a date in a wedding dress.
I'm going to say no.
No, but from love.
From the best part of my heart. Wear white by all means, but just leave the veil at home.
Leave me aside just for a second. I know it's going to be hard because of the way you feel about me. But if you were giving general tips to people about prep, not prepping, but kind of doing the mental, emotional, right, okay, it's a date and they're trying to find love and they're nervous of dates. Have you got 3 tips that you kind of go, okay?
Yeah, do you know what? I think the first tip is, and I just touched on it a second ago about the failure if you put too much pressure on yourself for it to go well. Because you've got to remember there are 2 people at play in a date. If it doesn't go well, it's not you. It's the fact that neither of you were particularly attracted or liked one another or were right for one another. So the don't be afraid to fail thing is something that is, if you can take that with you without expectations, be excited by all means, but don't expect anything from this other person. That's going to be great. If you look at great people across the globe, inventors or whatever, they didn't get it right the first time. Each person you date, if they're not the right one, it just means you're one step closer to finding your perfect partner. My second one is actually, it goes against quite a lot of advice that people tend to say, and that is don't be afraid to talk about your exes. We have exes for a reason. By all means, gauge your partner. If they really don't want to talk about them, please do not be dragging the information out, because that's not a great start. But a general chit chat about what didn't work in your past relationships is a great way to gauge whether or not that person is going to be right for you moving forward. If they say, I don't know, if you are an independent woman with her own career and her own set of friends, and you're looking for an accessory to your already great life, something that's going to make it a bit better, the cherry on the top, and your potential date says, my last partner was too independent, she liked doing her own thing, you're probably not going to be right for that person. And my third tip is forget about the spark. Don't rely on an instant connection. Attraction can certainly be there. You can like the person, but the romanticized version that we get from kind of novels and films, and I'm guilty of writing this in my own books, that heady whirlwind, it's really rare. And if you're pinning all your hopes and dreams on that, you're going to be disappointed. Love and connection is all about giving it some time, putting in the groundwork and getting to know someone, and those bonds and feelings kind of built through knowledge of another human being, and that takes a bit of time.
Is there something in that if you have this instant, what you do think is a spark or chemistry, whatever it is, pheromones, whatever it might be, can that be a negative thing then?
I think it can be, because it will pull you into that person, and there may be some red flags that you choose to ignore because your physical attraction is so great. So by all means, enjoy that connection if you've got it. Revel in the fact that you want to rip that person's clothes off and spend all your time with them, but just be cautious when it comes to your emotions and your feelings.
This is brilliant. I've written all this down. When you were saying about kind of not expecting too much and just letting it be and develop. One of the things I do, and it's definitely as calm my nerves, is I kind of instantly friend zone them in my head before I've even turned up. So here's the thing. I never dress up for a date.
Never?
I will shower, I will floss, I will lip gloss, of course, but I will never, no, my dress sense is tomboy with boobs. No, so I will no, because it makes me too, oh my God, this is a thing, this is a big deal, I already feel terrified.
Well, do you feel marginally like if you don't put the effort in and they don't like you, then you didn't really like them anyway? Because if you did, you would have used soap when you're in the shower, whatever your version of
you have a very cruel streak. A Brillo
I
pad.
do, I'm sorry.
So we've talked about Frank, how he's intimidating and how I should be scared of dating up, because actually that's just in my head anyway. But I do have two things to say about Frank. I think there's an age difference. Is that a problem? Is that an issue? Is that an issue if I make it an issue? He wants to date me, so that can't be an issue, right?
You just hit the nail on the head. Is that an issue, or am I making it an issue? The only advice I can give people who are dating someone or potentially dating someone with an age gap is to date that person and see if it's a problem. It may be that the age gap is too big and your jokes don't hit because they don't have the cultural references, or it may be that their experiences of life are so vastly different that you have not got much in common, because common ground is an important building block for a relationship. But on the whole, people are people, and it just doesn't really matter when you're born, unless you're talking like 50 years, and then it might be a little bit strange.
Just thought of something else about Frank. Frank is gay.
Yes.
You know this. You know I've turned men the other way. Do I just, go out? Frank's open to having a date with me.
So I would say if Frank identifies as gay and you don't identify as being a man, then perhaps the relationship doesn't have the strongest legs it could have. However, if Frank is open to dating a woman, I don't know why I hesitated.
But you really did, didn't you?
I was going to say human, and then I thought, no, why are you saying human? That's a terrible way to describe her. Sorry. But if Frank has changed his mind and is open to dating a woman, all you can do is trust that he's making the right decision for him. Again, just go into it with, open eyes and an open heart and see where it takes you.
I'm sweating slightly less than I was and I know that's a beautiful image, when we started talking about the date. I want you now, Annabelle, to give me the pep talk, right? Because I can't even get a second date. Bibi Bernadette Lynch, Dame Bibi Bernadette Lynch cannot even get a second date. I've had about 2 dates in the last, I guess COVID did kind of come in a bit. I'd say I have a date a year, 1 date a year.
Okay, so pep talk wise,
come on.
1 date a year. Know your worth, because you are wonderful. There's not a person on this planet that hasn't met you and you haven't had a positive impact on. So know how much you are worth. Don't expect the most amazing connection to start with, because that is something that you have to build on and work upon, and that is what great relationships are made from. Do, however, expect them to buy your first glass of wine, and if they don't, leave.
So what's the thinking behind that then? They get the first glass of wine, that means, they're not going to do a runner in the, in the toilet window, out the toilet window. Or was it just politeness?
I
or what
was
is
only
it?
joking. It's politeness, and it's part politeness, part tradition, and part getting a free drink more than anything.
So this date with Frank is going to be a Zoom one. So I can't,
Yes.
We're going to both be getting drunk quietly in our own spaces. So are there any rules? Is anything any specific dating challenges because we're having to date over Zoom now?
Yes, so there are a ton of new challenges that online, like digital dating, brings. One of them is our kind of perception of ourselves when it comes to the aesthetics. Our webcams are not that flattering. However, I would highly recommend not going for the adjust appearance filter, because it makes you look really false. And it's a bit of a kind of a catfishing thing. Try and keep yourself as real as you can through the screen, so that your potential partner doesn't have any awful surprises when you turn up and you're like the Loch Ness Monster, the creature from the Black Lagoon or something. But it kind of taps into a wider issue of self-image and self-worth. So stay away from that filter. Make sure you're really comfortable and you feel like your setup is good for you. Get your angles right if you feel that way inclined, and make sure that whatever you kind of think you might need, you've got. And my number one piece of advice for digital dating is turn off all your other notifications on your laptop or your phone or whatever you're using, and get rid of external technological devices like your mobile if you're not using it for the Zoom chat, because there's nothing worse than being on a Zoom call where there are really no other distractions, and your partner, the person you're having your meeting with, or your date, is on their phone. You wouldn't do that in real life. And I think the screen between the two of you sometimes kind of takes you out of the situation a little bit, and creates a bit of distance between the reality of the date. Get rid of all of that stuff and make sure your partner has your full attention, and expect the same from them as well.
I was thinking a kind of surprise bonus of doing Zoom dating is if you see their wife in the background, you know they're married.
Yeah, and you don't have to pay for transport either. Just get on your sofa and away you go.
Are there any other benefits that you think from Zoom dating, this way we've been forced to date?
I do think people who are making the most of the digital dating world are they're kind of at an advantage, because when you have a date in a place where you feel really comfortable and that stranger isn't physically there, like you've got that safety element. You know that if it's going wrong, worst case scenario is you just close your laptop and you're out. You don't have to make any excuses. You don't have to feel unsafe in a different environment. And because you are in an environment you feel comfortable in, you're more likely to be more honest and open, and vice versa. So you get a much more kind of organic and wholesome date, even though you're doing it through Zoom or another digital platform.
I guess you're less likely to have sex on the first date if it's over Zoom.
Yeah.
Do we encourage, if it were normal times and we were able to meet IRL, that means in real life, Annabelle, you might want to write that down. Should you have sex on a first date? Is it good or bad thing?
I have absolutely no problems with people having sex on a first date. I think it's all about the individuals. It's all about like consent and mutual respect, and having like a nice time and a great experience. You don't have to have sex on a first date. It has been done before where people have waited. But if the mood takes you, and you feel like you are in the right state of mind to make a good decision for your well-being and what you actually want, then go for it. But if you don't, then don't worry. It doesn't mean that person doesn't like you. It doesn't mean you don't like them. It just means you didn't have sex on the first date.
Hey, Frank, this is Bibi here.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Hello, love. Can I call you Doctor?
Oh, you can call me Doctor or Frank, anything. Yeah.
I'm going to call you Doctor because it's a sexual thing for me, and
Yeah.
and you can call me. What do you want to call me?
Bibi?
Yeah. So have you done any Zoom dating? Kind of, COVID's made us embrace Zoom. Have you done Zoom dates as well?
Yeah, I have. I mean, it's different because someone wants to meet and it is kind of difficult. So yeah, I haven't had a proper date in a long time.
Can I say something? I obviously have Googled you because I'm not a stalker. I'm just very keen to find out who I'm having a date with. But I think you're already the bravest man I've ever met. I really want to ask a bit about what you do in Uganda, or your advocacy work, because I just think it sounds incredible.
Thank you. My work is quite important, and I love it. I love my work. I've been doing it for a very long time, and so I focus a lot advocacy for the LGBTQ community here in Uganda. But I also do a bit of international work as well for the LGBTQ community. So it's a bit difficult. So maybe that explains why I haven't been on so many dates, because I have a lot of work and I'm so busy all the time. So by the time I go home and go to bed, I'm really, really, really tired. And I'm not thinking about dates so much, but I have to provide a lot of support in terms of psychosocial support as well, and mental health to the LGBT community, because like myself, who hasn't been on a date for a very long time, you can imagine majority of community members have not been on dates, but some of them have been forced sort of go into these toxic family relationships where they were disowned and not wanted before. And because now, they have limited income, so they can't support themselves. So they end up going back still with families where they're not accepted. And once they are home, for example, transgender community members, they have to conform to what society wants them to look like. So they can't be free.
I mean, the Ugandan rep for LGBTQ plus rights isn't great. How do you have a normal life?
I mean, I don't like people, even people here in Uganda, like my friends and family, they just think I'm crazy for being openly gay and also then being an activist. Too much exposure and then too much risk upon yourself. You don't have a life because I have to make a decision every morning on what I'm going to do, where I'm going, who I'm going to hang out with, what I'm going to do.
I'm blown away by you. I'm slightly worried though, Frank, because if you're that busy, how are you going to have time for me?
Well,
because I'm quite high maintenance.
I think matters of the heart. You have to create time. Then if you
I think I'd make you very unhappy.
You'd be so busy as well because you're equally busy.
We'd never see each other. It'd be perfect.
Then we'd have text and then arrange dates. Say, have a schedule. Maybe a schedule.
Oh, that's very romantic, Frank. Oh, we're going to be so happy. You know I'm straight.
Yes.
Is this an issue?
Well, that's the other thing. I haven't been on a date with a straight woman before. I have had not romantic relationships, but some kind of relationships with women.
Do you mean?
Like when I was really young. Some kind of fantasy relationship. I like you, you like me, then maybe you're my girlfriend, maybe not, I'm not sure. Something like that.
God, okay, so there's quite a big age gap between us. Is that a problem for you?
No, not at all. I like the connection. If I can connect with someone and then we relate on several things, and then happiness is so important. Like if we're happy, I don't know. What do you like?
Well, I don't like baked beans. We've established what I don't like. No, everything you say. So I love, it's about connection, isn't it? And it's about just its energy. And I guess the age thing doesn't really matter if you're at a life stage, it kind of, the stage you're at life-wise.
In this time, like this century, I think age is really not a big issue. Of course, I wouldn't want to date someone so young because I imagine myself when I was very young. I don't think I would be in a proper relationship. I'd probably be on other dating apps when I'm.
Oh, really? I couldn't. If someone cheated on me, my little heart would be broken.
Yeah, I get a little bit paranoid, but not in a scary way where I get possessive. But then I get a little bit paranoid and a little bit insecure. Especially, here I'm insecure, especially if the person I'm dating has a type. Yeah. And then I see sort of them hanging around that person. I get a little bit insecure, but heartbreaks, oh my God, I am so scared of heartbreaks.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? Do you know what I think? And I think, I overthink. I've actually got a book at home that I don't want to talk about exes, so I don't want to get you jealous, Frank, so soon in our relationship. But two ex-boyfriends bought me the same self-help book.
Oh, wow.
And it was called Women Who Think Too Much. Do you feel optimistic about relationships, though?
I do, because I was in a really good relationship before that just happened. And it just happened. We met randomly. We became friends and then fell in love and then started dating for a very long time. Because of Uganda being what it is, so my partner had to leave the country and move to the US. So that's why I'm single.
Frank, why didn't you follow?
Follow the heart or stay with the work. Like I had a whole community that I was supporting. He left around 2012, and it was so difficult in Uganda then for so many LGBTQ persons here, and I was at the forefront of almost supporting everyone. So
Oh my
But we're
God.
friends. We still talk.
Are
And that,
you?
yeah, I think that explains why we were together, and also it explains why it worked out, because we stayed friends. We liked each other.
I love and hate that story in equal measure. Don't make me cry on our first date, Frank. That's usually what I do to men. No, don't make me cry. So behind you, you were awarded a Robert Kennedy Prize. Tell me about that, but also a Nobel Peace Prize nominee.
Oh yes, so I was nominated for the Kennedy Award, Human Rights Award, which I received in 2011. It was so nice. I mean, it was really nice. I was just doing my work here one evening. Then I received a call from one of the staffers at the Kennedy Human Rights Center. I remember she was like, "Hi, is this Frank Mugisha?" I was like, "Yes." Ethel Kennedy, who is the widow of Robert F. Kennedy, wants to speak to you. I was like, "Why?" Like,
what did they do?
I'm like, I couldn't connect, because I mean I was speaking to so many international people at the moment, but I couldn't. Then she picked up the phone. "Hi, Frank. I'm happy to inform you, you're the winner of the Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Award. And so would you accept it? Would you be able to come to Washington, D.C. and receive it?" I was like, wow, this is really nice. I was so excited. That same week, I'd received another award, which is the Rafter Prize, and I had just accepted it. I had to travel to Norway to receive the Rafter Prize, and then travel to Washington to receive
and a Nobel Peace Prize. That is just extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was nice. And so I was in Italy. So one of the facilitators in the meeting tells me, "So we are getting some media asking questions if you're winning the Nobel Peace Prize." And I'm like, "Am I even nominated? I don't know." And then it comes, people bet. I didn't know people bet on that. There are these betting shows. And then I saw people betting, and I was like, betting. I was like, whoa, I didn't know people bet on that. And so that's how I found out I was nominated. But then what happens with the Nobel Peace Prize? They don't announce their nominees. For the first time, I was invited for the Nobel Peace Prize, and they never invite any nominee. I didn't win that time because Malala won the prize. But I was invited for the ceremony.
Where would you take me for a date then? Where's a great date place in Uganda then? Is there somewhere lovely? Of course it's going to be lovely. There's going to be masses of places.
So yeah, there is so many nice places here. But then because Uganda is a tropical country and the weather is really good. So it would be really, really nice to take you on a date outside sitting. Because we have a lake. We don't have a sea by the lake. So we have nice places. You would love it. Do you like seafood?
No.
You don't like seafood?
My sister-in-law tried to give me food. Well, she did give me food poisoning with mussels. So I'm a bit nervous of seafood. I don't like food that's a danger, Frank. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. You may not believe this. All my friends know. Everyone knows. Everyone who knows me, they know that I don't eat seafood.
You're kidding. Neither of us eat seafood.
So I'm allergic to one kind of seafood.
Yeah.
And so I stay away from everything.
You and I are destined.
Not even calamari.
Not even. It's like, God, no one's going near calamari again. So we would go to the lake. We wouldn't have seafood. Would you stroke my hair? Would you push my hair away from my face? And then would you try and count my freckles?
Yes. And then put because of the sea and the sun, and I'll put sunglasses on your face. I'll probably take your picture.
Okay. This is the best date I've ever had. Would you hold my hand?
Yes, I like holding hands.
So
I like the intimacy and being close.
What star sign are you? I think this is important. Gemini.
Yes.
Frank, you've blown it.
And yours?
Pisces.
Oh, wow.
So aren't Gemini a little bit, and I don't want to say this because we're very good friends now, possibly romantically involved, aren't Geminis a little bit, two-faced?
Did I just say that? Isn't two-faced one of the worst things you can call someone? That's basically me telling delicious Frank he's insincere or fake. And he's not. He's neither of those things. Right, mental note, I need to talk to Annabelle about this.
Aren't Geminis a little bit, two-faced?
Not really. Well, Gemini are a bit sensitive, and also a bit, like I said, a bit of insecure.
So I like that then. So the Gemini thing isn't two-facedness, and that's just obviously a ridiculous thing to say because of the image. It's having it's ego and not ego, isn't it? So it's basically if you're insecure, but you're not going to give that off. So it's actually representing yourself in different ways, which we all have to do, I guess.
Yes.
Pisces will feel undervalued and emotionally dissatisfied with Gemini. With that said, but because they're both mutable signs, they do have what it takes to work through the many ups and downs of their relationship.
We need to work so hard to make it work.
I would work through anything and forgive you anything for that smile. Honestly.
Thank you.
I love you. Frank, I love you. I hope that's not too much too soon.
Thank you. I love you back. I love your hair. I love your smell. And I love that you make me laugh and happy.
Oh my God, Annabelle. I'm genuinely giddy. I love Frank. How did I do?
I think you did absolutely fantastically. I was very proud of you.
Are you joking?
No, I really did. I thought you were. I thought you asked insightful questions. I thought you were funny. I thought you were a delight. You might not have been analysing, but I was watching the date and I was looking at Frank's facial expressions, and his whole demeanour lit up when you started joking around with him. And it was so lovely. I think you had a really nice conversation. You touched on some silly things and you got a little bit deeper when you were talking about exes and heartbreak. Honestly, you're so easygoing and fun. I wouldn't have thought nerves would be, a thing that particularly affected you.
Do you think there's two things I'm going to say. Do you think I messed, well, first of all, by calling him two-faced as Gemini, I mean, what was I thinking? What was I thinking?
I did write that bit down as there's a couple of bits. I was like, no, Bibi, the self-deprecation needs to stop. I'd make you really unhappy. No, you wouldn't. You'd make someone so happy. You make people laugh constantly. You're so kind and you're so considerate and you're such a good person. And those are qualities any individual would be very lucky to have in a partner.
So that's interesting. So I need to stop being so self-deprecating.
I think it's often used, self-deprecation is quite often used as a kind of I'll take a step down so that you can take a step up. And it's like, I'll talk myself down, and indirectly that's talking the other person up. We need to stop. We need to realise our worth and shout it from the rooftop.
And was I interviewing?
Do you know what? I think it would be really hard for a journalist like you to go on a date and not ask questions, because that's who you are. Is what makes you good at your job is that you can sniff out a good story. But he did ask questions in return, so it wasn't just you asking and him answering. It was pretty even. It started off a little interviewy, but I think you hit your stride I think you hit your stride at about 4 minutes in when you said, "I love you." That happened. I think it was something like 3 minutes and 58 seconds, and you said, "I love you."
What did Frank's face do when I said that?
He just laughed. He was so lovely. It was like water off a duck's back. I think he probably has quite a challenging existence on the whole, but something like that is wonderful.
Can you believe what Frank does? It nearly made me cry. I mean, I know it'll be no surprise to anyone having therapy, but honestly, it nearly made me cry. And then he didn't pursue a huge love story because of his commitment to his work. Oh,
he just has a higher purpose, doesn't he? He feels like he has a calling and a reason for doing the things he does, and he's sacrificing his personal happiness for the happiness of potentially all the gay people in Uganda. It's so admirable, and not many people on this planet would be able to do that.
What were your three kind of standout points then from it, good or bad, from that? And what could other people learn? This isn't just for me, obviously. people listening, what can they learn? What would their take home be?
Well, I think the first one is you both spoke about exes. The world didn't set on fire. So don't be afraid to talk about your past, even on a first date.
Yeah.
It's a really good way of gauging whether the person in front of you or next to you, if you're somewhere where you sit next to each other, a park bench, for example, is a good match. The other thing I took away from your date is that even if on the surface it feels like two people shouldn't work out for whatever reason, sexuality, age difference, you can still build bonds. And even if you don't marry that person, that they could have a positive influence on you and you on them. So be open. And I think the third thing, Frank even touched on it, if you have presets for what you want in a partner and they are immovable, you will end up unhappy because no one will be able to tick all of your boxes. There has to be a little bit of flexibility. Don't be too rigid in your absolute must-haves.
Can you please give me my overall grade? So my percentage chance of Frank dating me again.
Do you know what? I would say it's really high. I think if you're at university, you'd be on a high 2-1. 7%, 70%, something like that.
Thank you so much to our incredible dating coach, the fabulous Annabelle Knight, and a huge thank you to today's wonderful Frank, Dr. Frank Mugisha. I love him. And thank you for listening. Please rate, subscribe, follow, and leave us a review, and that will help other people find us. Keep listening, and next time, Annabelle will be back with me, and I will be continuing in my quest to find my Frank. See you then.
I would definitely go on a second date with Bibi. I love the date. I would go on another date, most definitely.